The human race, us, have been struggling with the Fermi paradox for a while now. And when you think about all these outlandish UAP claims, situations, all this stuff that is happening, the whistleblowers, David Fravor, all this information that is suddenly out there, and probably the most significant movements in terms of like public knowledge and public scrutiny, I guess, on the whole situation. I don't think it's ever been this strong. When you think about the whole crazy, like, aliens visiting idea, when you, like, for the sake of argument, think about, like, the Fermi paradox. The most cliche common narrative isn't even that outlandish. Now, I'm not convinced that that's true, but just think about how the universe is billions of years old and how we'd expect to see civilizations existing elsewhere. Thinking about like the Alcubierre drive and the possibilities of probes from different civilizations that are far more advanced than us reaching Earth. It really isn't that big of a stretch. But I hope most rational people aren't convinced of that because there's simply not enough evidence. Which again brings a bit more nuance into the thing, because that also goes both ways. That also tells me that most rational people will withhold belief, reserve it, until sufficient evidence is presented. Because these are such extraordinary claims, they require extraordinary evidence. That's age-old saying. But that also would play a role in like a disinformation campaign or something that these like UFO/UAP ufologists or whatever you want to call them, that's what they claim. Like, the government can hide this. A lot of people fight on it. Well, no, the government wouldn't be able to hide it that well. And it's like, but just listen to yourself. Like, for me, I'm not convinced that it's aliens. I'm not convinced that it's anything outlandish like that. There's just not enough evidence for me to be convinced that it is that way. But I would love for it to be aliens. Somewhere deep inside, I hope that it's aliens. And yet, I'm not even close to being convinced that this is real. Wouldn't that play into the ability of a governmental body hiding this info? Because knowledge of this would produce such an ontological shock that it would be easy to hide it, because people just naturally wouldn't want to believe it, or wouldn't believe it. So it brings yet more nuance to the whole thing. So I don't know, like, could this be real? Could these UAP really be moving these insane ways that defy at least what we have in terms of material science or whatever? It definitely could be real. It's not that big of a stretch to think that this could be possible. But there's simply not enough evidence. And is there not enough evidence because it's just not been researched enough, or we aren't able to research it that much? Or is it because the good evidence is hidden? Now, I don't want to go the government is hiding conspiracy route. But given just the sheer extraordinary nature of these claims, I don't see why would it be hard to hide this stuff from the public? Like, especially all these smear campaigns on people or whatever, like, that would produce very successful effects on ridiculing this topic and just making fun of the whole thing because of the nature of the claims. It's so hard to believe anyway. So it would be easy to manipulate the public's perception on it. So, I don't know. Like, I just wish that this actually gets further researched and that we actually get somewhere. I'd love for it to be aliens, but I'm not convinced that it's anything like that. So, I don't know. Interesting time for sure.